All right. Trial run. Experimental game type. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Gundam Collectibles 1-400 Tactical Battle Game rules and marry it with the Battletech Alpha Strike. Now, you would say, okay, those are two completely different universes, completely different rules, but here's my argument, okay? Similar technology. Both worlds, both universes use something along the lines of the lunar titanium, the Gundanium alloy. They use a material that makes a bipedal robotic weapons platform plausible. They both use the different locomotive means. So battle mechs use synthetic muscle fibers married to robotic actuation. Mobile suits use just robotic actuation. But again, both universes sort of use the same stuff. They both are powered by fusion reactors. So both the battle mech and the mobile suit relies on fusion power. Another thing here is I'm using the Battleforce scale, which is very close to 1/400. It's along the lines of 1/450 or 1/430 scale, which, if you really look at it, it is almost spot on to what the size comparison between a battle mech and a mobile suit would be. That being said, the Alpha Strike game uses inches, whereas the mobile suit game uses centimeters. But again, here's the fun part. The movement points on both of these mobile suits, or both of these mechs, are similar. The hit points and the armor and structure points are not too far off. And if you look at the sort of the weapons damage, how much damage they do, plus the attack power. Okay, so attack power is like your skill point. I'm mixing stuff up right now. So if you look at the damage here on the mobile suit, it's that plus a d6 whenever you roll for damage, if you get a hit. For the battle mechs, they do damage based on range. Now, you don't roll a d6 for damage, but again, it's very close in scale. I want to say so close that it wouldn't be unrealistic to say that that's how much damage they would do. Now, we're talking very similar universes, fusion-powered weapons. Mobile suits use beam weaponry. Beam weaponry is very similar to the particle projection weapons in Battletech. So, accelerated particles, magnetized, and focused into a beam that fires at a projected location or target. And so, when you think about a beam rifle or a beam cannon, you're talking about a particle projection cannon. I don't believe this guy has a PPC, but he has a large laser, and those things are very similar. So, you've got lasers, and you've got lasers in Gundam as well. So, that is something to think about. Damage-wise, the damage potential between mobile suit weapons and battle mechs weapons are so similar that I would say it would be fair to say that it could do that damage point carried over. Now, here's where I think I need to make this clear. When rolling, the way it's making sense to me is to roll to hit. For Battletech or for Alpha Strike, you need to roll 2 dice. In order to be able to get a hit, you need to roll the skill, the range, which would be whatever distance the target would be at, So whatever distance they are in, not in inches, but in centimeters through the conversion. So it'll be plus that, plus whatever the target moved. So if the target moved a certain distance, you would add that to hit roll. So, for example, if my to hit was 4 plus 2 plus 2, I would have to roll an 8 just to hit. So when I go to do the to hit, I can roll and say, let's say I get a 10. So now what I can do is, he's got an EP of 3. Now, if I roll, because the Gundam game uses only 1 dice, if I roll, and I roll a 1, well, that would be an instant miss, or an instant fail on the evasion. But let's say I roll a 3. So it'll be 3 plus 3, that would be 6. I'd still get hit. Why would that be fair if I'm using 2 dice? Because you would have to say, in Battletech, the weapons would be more accurate. It would make sense that they would be able to hit. In Gundam, I would say the strength with the Gundam universe is that their attack power would be more devastating. So let's turn the page. Let's say the mobile suit is going to attack. So you would, again, just use 1. So let's say I get a 2, but 2 plus the attack points would be 5, 6, 7, plus whatever weapon I'm going to use. So let's say I'm using the beam gun. That'll be a -1 or a -2 to accuracy. So 7, 6, 5. So for him, I would say his piloting roll. So let's say his piloting roll is a 4. So regardless, he would have to get something above that 6 or that 5 to be able to avoid getting hit. So if he rolls, he would roll his 2 dice. Let's say he gets a 4. So he would get hit. Another way to do it is you could just say it automatically hits. I mean, that could be something that could be up to thinking about in regards to conversion. But here's the kicker for this though, is with the Gundams there is no set value for damage. With this thing, he's already going to do 2 damage plus whatever you get on a dice. So that'll be 5 plus 2. I mean, this will one-shot the Wolfhound. So you have, with using each respective system, you can kind of play together 2 different game mechanics, and it just makes sense to me. It just makes sense. It makes sense because of, when you think of mobile suits, you think of that raw power, and having that variability in damage makes a lot of sense. When you think of the Battletech game, you think more, it's a little more precise, but it's a little bit underpowered because they want to make the mechs kind of last longer. So they have a set value and that's it. Now here's the other one. When you go to roll to hit and you do a hit, and let's say it hits the mobile suit, well, you have a set value of damage. You can't increase that in any meaningful way. The mobile suit has a shield, and it also has the ability to use guard, which adds a -2 -1 for the shield. So you can nullify 3 damage, but in its respective rule set, it's only to the minimum of 1 damage. So the battle mech can still do damage to the mobile suit, but it'll be 1 damage. So almost every turn, no matter what he hits, he's only going to be able to do about 1 damage to this mobile suit because of the set value of damage that this thing has. Here's the other thing to think about. The ranges in centimeters. The most longest range weapon he has is a 20 centimeter range beam gun. The battle mechs, however, have up to 80 or 60 inches of range, but even with the centimeter conversion, it'll still be 60 centimeters. What does that mean? That means that the battle mechs can shoot at mobile suits at distance and plink them while not being able to hit themselves. Now, there are mobile suits that have speed that can close in, and there are moves and abilities that you can use to get a mobile suit in closer. Again, it just makes sense to me. It makes sense. That's how the Gundam shows are portrayed. That's how mobile suits are portrayed. It's very close quarters. It's very like in your face. The mobile suits always come into close in battle. It's always in your face, beam sabers and flashy battles up close, and tons of dialogue back and forth. When you look at Battletech, it's more at range and more tactical and, using, C3 and over the, long range targeting. You're talking about using some more believable military tactics. But isn't it cool to think about it? I mean, isn't it cool to think about how it would be if, you're a mercenary company out in the middle of nowhere, some periphery moon, and then suddenly this strange new type of mech pops out, just towering over anything you recognize. And it's not the clans. It's some strange humanoid looking crap that's towering over whatever you're at. But their technology is so different, but it's still devastating. And that just sounds cool to me. It just screams coolness. So that's my little prototype idea here. My little thought is, would it work? Could you have a crossover game that doesn't have to change the game mechanics of either game, and because of how these things are scaled, could work? So the battle mechs would have range, but they have a set damage value. They can only do a set amount of damage. And when fighting other battle mechs, that's gonna be the set value no matter what. But then you've got mobile suits, and these things are fast. They are crazy. The hit point value, they're maybe not as durable. Maybe they're not as resilient to the naked eye. But once they get in close and that variable dice roll comes in where they can do that damage, I mean, you can one-shot a battle mech easy. So that's something to think about.